Hey, this is Michelle with Spill the Tea +2, and here's my +2,
Jasmine,
Georgia.
and we're here today to talk about some of the things that are going on in the world. And one of those things is food,
Gas.
food shortages.
food shortages, that's right, and gas prices. All right, so food shortages. I know people are sitting around thinking, what are you talking about? We got plenty of food in the grocery store. You know, some people do. But that doesn't mean it's always going to be there, because the president just was on TV the other night, and he said that we can expect that everyone, not just a few people, not just you, not just me, but everybody is going to be touched by food shortages. So, what are you doing to be prepared so that you're not caught without any food? So one thing that we have done is we have been prepping for quite some time and we have a prepping pantry, a food pantry where we put food enough to last us, what y'all say, over a year?
Probably. Maybe.
We've done canned goods, we've canned our own vegetables, we've canned our own meat, we have frozen meat, and we have what we think is enough to last for a good while in case something was to happen in a grid down situation, or if the food just can't be found. With all the things going on in Russia, you know, Russia was one of the number one importers of wheat and other food, fertilizer. If you ain't got fertilizer, it's really hard to grow your own food. Now, I will tell you this. We went down and got stuff for this year to plant a garden, and fertilizer cost us $200 just for enough for this year. That is a lot of money. That's like way more than we spent last year. I think last year we might have spent $80 on fertilizer. So it's over double what we spent last year. But we're going to have it. And, you know, what you're going to do next year if the situation isn't any better. We don't know. So, one thing, I was listening to Homestead Heart. I really like to watch her channel. And she was talking about how to make your community work for you and how you can work for your community. So, you know, you can't always be in something alone. You have to have other people to help you. You can't have everything. You can't have all the experience. You know, it takes a lot of people being together with different experiences and different things that they're good at if you're going to make it when you have a grid down situation or when you have food shortages or gas shortages, right? So I might be really good at growing a garden, but my neighbor might be really good at working on cars. Or my other neighbor might be really good about growing fruit trees. Another one of my neighbors might be a great teacher who could teach kids if something happened when we weren't able to go to school. The kids might be able to go to school. Another thing is that you have somebody that's really good at electronics that can work on things. Maybe somebody's really good at solar power. If we had a situation where we didn't have any electricity and we needed a way to keep our freezers going, we had to have somebody to work on generators. So we got a lot of reasons, a lot of things that people need to be good at, not just putting up food. We got to think about as a community what we would do for each other. And unfortunately, most of the people don't know their neighbors. Well, you know your neighbors. Do you know your neighbors?
Yes, Mom.
Do you know your neighbors? Yeah, we know our closest neighbors. Do you know your closest neighbors? If you needed them in a situation, it was an emergency, what would you do? It's always best, like I was listening to Homestead Heart today, and she was like, back in the day, but when I was young, and I'll tell you, I'm 51 years old. When I was young, everybody knew everybody. It was a community. You could not go down the street and do something without a neighbor seeing you and gonna call your mama and tell them what they seen you doing. And that was the truth. And like she said, we had rotary phones, right? It wasn't like we had a cell phone. You pick up the phone or take a picture, send a message. You actually had to call. I see Michelle down the street down here. What was she doing?
They just told on you like that.
Yeah. And your daddy, like he was supposed to, like, he'll tell you about his grandma. She would tell him he could ride his bike down the road down here, down a dirt road. But she told him he couldn't go no farther than the creek. And he would take his bicycle and he would go all the way past the creek to the store because he would save up, like, back then you could get glass bottles, and if you had so many glass bottles, they were worth money. And you could take these glass bottles down there and turn them in and get enough money for another drink, and maybe have 10 cents for some candy, because you'd get penny candy back then. It wasn't what it is now. Anyway, he would go to the store and get him a drink and get him some candy, and he wasn't supposed to be down there. Well, by the time he got home, the woman at the store knew his grandma, because everybody in the community knew each other, and by the time he got home, she already knew that he'd been where he wasn't supposed to be, and then he would get in trouble.
I bet that didn't end well.
No, it did not end well. So, we need a community like that to surround us so that we will be able to thrive in a situation where things are not going to be perfect and that we're going to need things, right? So we're going to need a community to take care of each other, and our community has to be our neighbors. We also need to make some community connections, right? If you know your police officers in town, do you know the people own the stores in town? Do you know the people own the local shops in town? Those are the people that you need to know, because if you, okay, let's say I have a flower farm, right? And I grow vegetables. All right. There may come a time where I need something that somebody else has, right? And so I could take some vegetables. They might not have vegetables. And I could take those vegetables and go down and trade them for what it is they have, right? I have milk cows, so I might be able to have milk. And they need something that I don't have. So we got to think about it that way. In a community, we have to work together. And we have to have connections so that, like I said, somebody might have something that you don't have. So another thing is that back in the day, everybody knew who your family, everybody knew everybody's family, right? So you would go in and say, go to the store, and sometimes you still do it, especially older people. They say, what family are you from? Right. Who's your family? What they mean to do is, who's your mom and daddy? Or who's your grandma and grandpa? Because they were going to know what family you were in from who they were. And I can tell you, back in those days, everybody knew everybody's family. Do you even know your own family? You know, a lot of people are not close to their families anymore. Do you know your family?
Most of it.
Most of them. Do you know your family?
Most of it.
Most of it. So, I hear young people say all the time, when you ask them, or you talk about what's happening in the world, and you say, are you putting up any food? Are you doing anything to prepare for, the way things are? And they say, nope. I'm just going to wait till it happens. And I'm really good, at thinking on my feet at the very end, and I'll come up with something.
hasn't.
Well, I'm here to tell you, if there ain't no beans in the store, ain't no food in the store, what are you going to come up with? The only thing you can come up with is maybe robbing the people that do, or begging for something that they have. I mean, I guess you could go out and kill your own, maybe a deer or something, but have you ever done that before? Do you have the skills to clean it so that you can eat it? Would you be capable of killing it? Could you kill an animal to for your family to survive? You really need to think about that.
And that's also lucky if you have those connections.
That's right. That's another reason you need those connections, because Jasmine over here, she might know how to skin that deer. Now George over here, she might be good with a gun and can kill it. And they may be willing to do that work and give you part of it if you got something for them. Right? If you're going to share with them, hey, Georgia might know how to take that hide and makes a jacket out of it, or make a rug out of it. Because what if you don't have any electricity and it's really cold and it's the middle of the winter? You don't have any blankets. You don't have any material to make any clothes. You don't have any shoes because they done wore out. And somebody that knows how to do that, you're going to need to know them. You know how to sew? I know how to sew. So, do you know how to sew? So that means you're going to need me in a situation where you can't go buy no clothes to make you something, right?
I can skin a deer.
You can skin a deer.
I
can make you clothes. And you can shoot it. So that's how a community works together. Now, somebody said to me, God will make a way. God will make a way. I'm just going to pray about it. Well, let me tell you something. You do need to pray about it. I do agree with that. But God also gave us the ability to learn how to do things. It gave us the ability to be able to physically go out and get it done. It gave us the ability to plow that field. It gave us the ability to plant that seed. It gave us the ability to harvest it. God's just not going to hand it to you. You got to do the work too. And something that Homestead Heart said tonight, faith without work is dead. So you can have all the faith that you want, but if you don't work toward it, you're not going to end up with anything, because God is not just going to hand it to you. You have to do your part. You have to do your part. It's not just God's part. You have to do your part. So, another thing, you can't just think about, well, this is just the United States. Everybody else is doing okay. You know, we'll get our food from other countries. Well, guess what? Our government is the last ones to let us know. All the other countries, even China, has told their people, you need to prep food, put up food, because there is going to be food shortages. No, our president didn't do that. Our government hasn't told us that until here recently. But other governments in other countries have been told their people, so they have plenty of time to prepare. But our government just doesn't tell us at the very end. They don't care about us. Your government does not care about you. They're all out for themselves. They're all out for themselves. They're all out for what they can get. And you have to make sure you and your family are taken care of. Now, I'm not saying do anything illegal, because there's ways of getting things done without doing illegal things. But you need to prepare. You need to prepare now. Don't keep waiting. These other countries, they already started preparing. They've been preparing. So let me ask you something. For all these young people who think they're going to get things at the last minute. If you're pregnant, the grid goes down, there's food shortages, there's no formula for your baby, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to breastfeed, right? But what if your child is 3 months old and you passed the point of being able to breastfeed because you didn't start out that way? What are you going to do? How are you going to feed your baby? How are you going to feed your baby? Are you willing to be in a position to let your children starve? Is that something as a parent that you want? No parent wants that. We all want to take care of our children. You don't want to go hungry, do you? I know you don't, because I know you like to eat. You don't want to go hungry, do you?
No.
No. I don't want to go hungry either. But think about having a small, innocent baby and you have not prepared for hard times and food shortages, and there ain't no formula out there, and you can't breastfeed. You're past the point of being able to breastfeed, because that can only be done at the very beginning of when a baby's born. If you don't do it then, your breasts dry up and you can't breastfeed. And the baby's stomach, truly, the beginning cannot handle whole milk that you get in the grocery store. And then if there's a food shortage, that milk might not be available, right? So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's something that we really need to think about as a parent. That we need to make sure that we have what we need. So what do you think? What do you think that people need to do if there's a food shortage to get ready for it?
Buy food.
When, now? Or wait to what they say, hey, there's not but one thing of hot dogs at the grocery store.
No.
Now?
Before they put that rule, we only can buy one thing at a time.
Yeah, well, some places that's already that way. Some places already have limits, just like they did whenever we were under the COVID restrictions. So, what about you?
Different now. And
Huh?
go hunting.
You're gonna go hunting? That's the only thing you're gonna do?
And go this way.
What if everybody's hunting? There's only so many deer out there.
Sooner or later, people are actually going to realize this, like, besides us, and they're just going to start hoarding everything in store.
Yeah. Well, I don't want people to hoard, right? I want you to responsibly think about and prepare for what can happen in the future. Our government has told us there are, without a doubt, going to be food shortages, and that food shortage is going to touch every family in the United States. It is not only going to be a nationwide issue, it's going to be a global issue.
Wasn't that in the Bible? Isn't it food shortage?
Yeah, the Bible says a lot of things about the end times. But that's not what this is about today.
Probably coming back. Probably coming back.
So we have to think about what we're going to do. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to be ready? Our children, they're 10 and 14, and they're already helping me get ready. Now, what have we done to be ready for a food shortage? Well, we have put up a year's worth of food.
Maybe.
But not only that, for water, we have a hand pump on our well so that we could have fresh water in a grid down situation. We have a generator so that we could run our freezers.
We do.
We have gotten some cows, milk cows,
Special milk.
Yeah, special milk.
We got
So
tons
the-
of quail.
Yeah, we
and
got quail.
turkeys,
We got turkeys. We got chickens.
bunny rabbit.
We got rabbits. So we looked for alternatives of what we could do in a situation where there was a food shortage. We're going to grow our own food. We have seeds. I've put up seeds. We've got enough for this year. And you got to learn how to save seeds. You know how to save seeds? That's something you might want to learn. How to save your seeds from year to year. Because if in a situation where people are, like last year, even with flower seeds, you couldn't, everybody was buying them and you couldn't find any seeds. So you're going to have to know how to save seeds from year to year from plants to plants and try to have heirloom type of plants, stuff that you can save seeds from. Some of the seeds today you can't save. You got to know how to make sure that they'll be a true seed and not mix them up with something else. Because you can have a watermelon, right? There's different types of watermelon. But you can have seedless watermelon. You can have a big watermelon. You can have a yellow watermelon. You can have one with red meat inside. But if you grow them right side by side, if you grow them right side by side to each other, then you have your bees coming out and they get pollinated, which you don't know what they're pollinated with. So that seed that you're planting, the seeds are going to be made from the new plants are not going to be a true seed of what that was originally. It's going to be a mixture of probably two different types of watermelon. So you got to think about that whenever you're planting and seed saving for the next year. So it doesn't, I have cows, but you can have goats for milk and cheese and butter. Those are things, that you get for your animals. Of course, you got chicken, not only for meat, but you can have it for eggs. That's a protein that we're going to need. Go over some things that we have that we can eat in a grid down situation. Okay? So we have chickens, so we can have chicken meat, and we have eggs. We have quail. We can have eggs for the quail, and we have the quail as meat. We can have turkey, rabbit. We have both rabbits that we grow, and you can kill wild rabbits. We have cow. Our cow is going to give us milk. It's going to give us cheese.
Butter.
It's going to give us butter.
Special milk.
Special milk. All right. We can also butcher cows for our meat. Right? So you're going to have to think about that part of it. We have ducks. And there's wild ducks. You can eat dove. You can eat squirrel, deer,
Yes, what?
snake. You can eat rats.
You put that down.
Now I'm not going to say I want to eat a rat, but if you're hungry enough, you'll eat one. All right? What's something that we really don't think about that everybody can do? Well, actually not everybody can do it because not everybody has ever done it or knows how to do it. Fish. Fish is a great way to get protein and meat that we need. A lot of people have ponds. You can go to the river, go to the ocean, but do you have the equipment to go fishing? Do you have bait to go fishing?
Daddy does.
Well, you can get artificial bait, but that's something you had to buy. In a situation where it's an emergency and everybody's going out and buying all the fishing stuff, you can make it down there before everybody else can.
Oh, we have worms.
To make sure that's something we have. I'm talking about, do they have?
Oh.
Do you have the things that you would need to fish with? Now we grow worms, not only to fish with, but also for fertilizer. So let's think about fertilizer. If you cannot go down to get fertilizer, how are you going to fertilize your field and your vegetables so that they'll grow? And that could be a very, very big situation. Absolutely. Russia is the number one exporter of fertilizer, and right now we're not going to be buying fertilizer. That's the reason there's over twice the amount. So, how are you going to fertilize your fields without Russia? Well, these cows
Rabbits?
and rabbits and chickens and fish all make fertilizer.
Worms? Do they?
Yeah. They all make fertilizer. So, your chicken poop, if you use a fertilizer in your garden. Rabbits.
Cow poop?
Rabbits are one of the best fertilizer. Rabbit poop is one of the best fertilizers that you can get because it's not a hot fertilizer, which means that you can put it directly on your plants and it won't burn them. But you can take cow manure, and it's a great fertilizer too, but you have to let it sit because it's a hot fertilizer. So it means if you would put it directly on your plants, time it comes out the cow, it would burn your plants and they would die. So you have to let it sit for a while. Chicken manure is a hot manure as well. Duck manure is a hot manure. Fish manure. You can use fish manure too, but what you're doing is you're actually taking like pond water and using that to water your plants with, and that gives them some nutrition, right?
Right.
There's other things like if you need calcium, like tomatoes need calcium to grow. That way you don't get that blossom end rot in your tomatoes. Well, you can get that from what? Do you know? Eggshells.
Wait, what?
You can get the calcium you need for your plants through eggshells. So what you do is you take your eggshells whenever you eat breakfast and you dry them out and you crumble them up. You can put them in a blender and you put that in your garden, in your soil, and that puts calcium in your soil. Now, is that as quick a fix as if you put regular fertilizer in it then that had calcium in it? No, it's not a quick fix, but over time it would help your fertilizer and give you what you need. So nitrogen. So there's certain plants that you can grow during the winter, like turnips and radishes, mustard, that will actually add nitrogen back to the ground. Now, what do you need nitrogen for? Well, you're not gonna grow any corn without nitrogen. That's for sure, because it needs it. Even the Native Americans back in the day taught the settlers that they have what they call the 3 sisters that you plant together. Do you know what that is?
Fish.
No.
I already got it wrong.
No, I don't even.
No? Corn, beans, and squash.
No, I never heard of that.
Alright, so the corn needs nitrogen, and beans give off nitrogen into the soil. And so if you grow those 3 things together, they help each other out. So you have to think about, if you're going to plant, you have to think about what can you plant together, what works together. Some things you can't plant together because they don't work together. So it's a lot of things to think about when we want to make sure that we can feed our family and that we can live in a grid down situation or a situation where there's no food, there's food shortages. I mean, we can live with a gas shortage. It could. We can walk and ride a bicycle.
And we got horses.
Well,
Yeah.
some people have horses, but not everybody. But hey, that time could come. Do you know how to ride a horse?
A
Carol
little.
can teach us.
Carol can teach you.
Yeah.
You know, see, there's your community. You already know somebody that has a horse and can teach you how to ride. But not everybody's that way. Do you know somebody that has a horse? Do you know somebody that could teach you how to ride if you needed it? That's something that you need to think about. What would you feed that horse? Well, if somebody lives in a little tiny house that doesn't have much of a yard, they can't grow much grass to feed a horse. So they better know a farmer that's growing grass.
Get the weeds.
No, that's growing grass that make hay. So it's all about who we know, getting to know, you know, all the people that are around you. And just because somebody's a farmer doesn't mean they grow everything, right?
Right.
There's onion farmers, but those onion farmers ain't growing tomatoes. There's tomato farmers that's not growing strawberries. The strawberry farmers is not growing greens. There's peanut farmers that's not growing cotton. There's cotton farmers that's not growing tobacco. So everybody has their own little niche, and you need to make sure that you surround yourself with people that are very good at different things, and make sure that you're not the only one in that bunch that doesn't know how to do anything. Make sure you bring something to the table yourself, because you are not going to be an important person if you can't bring something to the table. So think about that. Think about being worthy. What are you worth? Okay? I can sew. I know how to garden. That gives me worth in a situation, right? What do you know that will make you worth something in a situation where you needed other people? What do you know that will make you worth something to other people?
I know how to work in the garden.
Okay, so you know how to garden.
Yeah.
That's something that you know how to do. Something that I've been teaching you how to do, right? So that's going to make you valuable.
Me too.
You need to make yourself valuable to other people. Now, me growing flowers, I'm sure is not valuable to anybody, but me growing vegetables is going to be valuable. Me knowing how to sew will make me valuable. Me knowing other things about other different animals, how to grow chickens, how to make fertilizer, that's going to make me a valuable person to other people who don't know how to do those things.
Like Daddy knows how to fix cars.
That's right.
Carpenter.
And he knows how to work on boats, and how he knows how to work on motors, and he's great at fishing. So everybody has their own good thing that they're great about. They're good at. But if you have nothing that's valuable to society, think about what's going to happen to you. You need to have things that you're good at, that you're valuable, so you have something to offer to the community, because that may be the only thing that you can exchange for a loaf of bread, or a gallon of milk, or a canned good to feed your family. So that is something for you to think about. This has been going on for 34 minutes. So we're going to end here. You have any advice for them, Jasmine? Any advice for the people that are out there and are thinking, oh, I don't need to worry about getting ready?
Get ready.
Get ready. Because Georgia, she wants to make sure she has plenty to eat. Do you have any advice? No? Alright, well, my advice to you is make yourself valuable. Learn how to do things now. Don't wait till the last minute. Get what you need to make sure your family doesn't go hungry. And I'm not telling you to run out and start hoarding things. I'm telling you to make sure that you're ready and that you're prepared. And we'll see you next time. We'll spill the tea with Michelle and my +2.
Jasmine.
Bye.